Good evening. Welcome to the May 20th meeting of the Hyde Park Planning Board. First, I'll note that this meeting is being conducted as authorized by Executive Order 202.1 by Governor Andrew Cuomo of the state of New York. May I confirm that each of you are alone and not under any kind of pressure to make a statement or vote any particular way? Ms. Weiser?
I am alone.
Ms. Wasser?
I'm alone.
Mr. Pickett?
I am alone.
Mr. Oliver?
I am alone.
Ms. DiNapoli?
I'm alone.
Vice Chair Dexter?
I'm alone.
And I can confirm that I'm alone as well. Will you please all join me in pledging fealty to the flag of the United States? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first major item on the agenda is PLT storage yard reconstruction. The applicants are seeking to amend a previous approval for the redevelopment reconstruction of a building, rather large building that burned, located at 501-503 Salt Point Turnpike. In essence, the applicants are back because they discovered that they can narrow the impact, limit the impacts of what was proposed by not having to go off-site to do some planting for screening or go off-site for a storage area. In addition, the third change they're seeking is to add a bathroom to the new temporary building that will be going up. And then last but not least, they've also indicated that the siting of the tanks, the fuel tanks, may change. Let me turn it over to Mr. Berger, representing the applicant. Joe, would you like to go over anything else? Or what would you like to go over? Joe, can you hear me?
Michelle just lined in. She's going to do the review.
Okie doke, Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. It is basically, as Chairman Dupree said, by not using the offsite area, that's less reduction. We don't have to worry about restoring that area. On the tanks, the difference is before we had an area. Okay, you want to go to slide 2. Okay. On slide 2, you'll see in the middle there's option A, option B. Option A is where we previously had showed the fuel tanks. On your May 5th drawings, the 2020 drawings, it's no longer there. The fuel tanks were shown on the August 2019 drawings. On the May 5th drawings, they weren't there because we were working out on these options. Option A is where we showed before. Option B would be to put the existing fuel tanks on the slab after the building's taken down. And then whenever they decide to build a new building, when they get around to doing that, they buy new tanks and put them in option A. The other thing is the bathroom. And if you even want to go all the way to slide 6, right now the maintenance crew had been working in the large building, and this building 3 was on the previous plans and approved, including the architectural review. Plan is to put a bathroom into this building for the maintenance people. As I said, they had one in the large building. The new bathroom would connect to the existing septic system, and it would also connect to the existing well. And there'd be this wouldn't increase the number of employees. It just provides a bathroom for the workers in that.
I don't know. I can't hear anything.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Did you have any questions?
Well, I'll be asking for questions or comments when I call on each person individually.
Sure,
Otherwise, it become a madhouse here.
I understand. I guess that kind of covers the different aspects.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that we prepared a resolution tonight to refer this to Dutchess County Department of Community and Behavioral Health for a report on whether they need to approve the expanded owner's wastewater treatment system because of the addition of the bathroom, and also to expand the water supply to run to the new building. I also wanted to thank you for making note of which conditions have been met already as you proceed forward. And then also I wanted to thank you, Michelle and Joe, as well as Mr. Gleason, for offering the 2 alternate locations. As a reminder to the board and to the public, when we first saw this new revised site plan, it kind of showed an amorphous area for where the fuel tanks would be located. I asked Mr. Sotero, our engineer, who's not here tonight, but to investigate and speak to you guys. And as it turns out, the issue with the siting is basically really whether you use the existing tanks or buy new ones, because the building code treats the location from the property line separately, and as well as the building, for whether they're new or older. So by showing 2 locations, it gives us the option to approve, and then you make the decision later on, and we have a location for either the new or the existing ones. So thank you again for turning on a dime. And again, this also allows us to be able to send this out to DCDBH. We'll also be referring this to county planning. At first I thought we didn't need to, but Victoria looked at the list of exceptions, and basically the wording was vague enough that just to make sure everything is clean and copacetic, no procedural defects, we're going to make sure we also refer this back to county planning. If everyone will recall, last time their response was a matter of local concern, so I anticipate that will be what happens again this time, particularly since the impacts are lessened. But just in case, we're just crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So let me start, as always, with our consultants. Ms. Axelson, do you have any comments?
Well, I had noted early in the review that a lot of the conditions had been addressed, and then we had the discussion about the fuel tank notes. And then it appears that Pete Sotero and John Andrews, I guess who's the engineer for the applicant specializing in the whole fuel tank issue, have gone through some dialogue. And it looks like there were informally submitted alternative fuel tank notes. I'm going to leave that to the engineers to get into the nitty-gritty there, but any way we can move the application forward would make sense.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that because I think we're all in agreement. Ms. Paul, let me start that. Ms. Moss, any comments?
I'm glad to see that the off-site potential impacts have been moved back into the site.
Thank you. Ms. Polidoro, any comments?
Right. I agree with Ms. Moss. There's no longer a need to review any easements or create any easements, so it's less complicated.
Yes. And let me start as to my sort of virtual left. Ms. Weiser, comments?
I have no comments or questions. I'm just really glad to see it moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Pickett?
No comment.
Ms. Wasser?
No additional comments. I agree with what's been said already. Thank you.
Vice Chair Dexter?
I would just add that I'm glad it's moving forward and that it looks like an easier project for you guys.
Mr. Oliver?
Ditto my colleagues' comments and happy to see you guys going forward. That's all. Thank you.
Ms. DiNapoli?
The same.
Okay, I have no comments either. Again, because the way you revised the plans made it so that it's something that now we could approve. We just have to go through the formal process of hearing back from Department of, what we used to call Department of Health, as well as County Planning. So there being no other comments, and you basically heard very positive responses to your moving forward. I hope that fills you with a little happiness, Mr. Gleason, because I know this is a tough project to move forward. I'm going to ask Mr. Pickett to read the resolution.
Resolution to refer a revised site plan to Dutchess County Planning and Development and to Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health. PLT Storage Yard Reconstruction, May 20th, 2020, Resolution 2019-19D. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby, 1, refers the revised site plan to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to Section 239-M of the General Municipal Law, and 2, refers the revised site plan to the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health with a letter requesting a response indicating that the approval from the department is or is not required for the addition of the septic tank serving Building 3.
Second,
Before
Ann
I-
Dexter.
Thank you. Before we call the roll, I just wanted to ask a question to Ms. Polidoro. Should I write a little note with the referral saying that this is what we're looking for?
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
We don't want to get back their standard lead agency response. We're
Right,
looking
because
for
this is
something
not,
more.
we've already concluded seeker. We're still under the same seeker designation. So I'll write a quick note over to DCDPH to offer an explanation for why this is coming forth. So Ms. Whitman, will you please call the roll? Cynthia, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
And Chairman Dupree?
Yes, and by the way, that train went by on my house before yours. I hope you didn't hear it all. So it honked over here too.
Kind of funny.
Okay. Michelle, Joe, and Patrick, thank you so much for joining us
No.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that we're going to be setting a public hearing for this once we hear back from everybody.
Okay.
Should we consider setting a public hearing tonight for after the 30 days they have to respond? I mean, they don't really have 30, county planning has 3 days, but Department of Health doesn't really, I mean, they could just not respond, but we'll give them 30 days. Should we go ahead and set the public hearing on this that would be June the, I believe no wait, we may have to wait till July, the first July meeting.
Yeah.
That first July meeting, I believe
It would have been July 1st, so I think it's the
And we-
15th.
we canceled that, so it'd be July
Yeah.
15th. May I get a motion to set that from Ms. Dexter?
So moved.
And a second from Mr. Oliver?
Second.
Can you please call the roll? Ms. Whitman?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes. Aye.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
And Chairman Dupree?
Yes. So, yes, Liz?
Just one quick point, maybe to be resolved before the hearing. I saw that there was email dialogue about the plans likely representing a maximum building footprint. And there was discussion about that it might be smaller. And so if there's any way to get closer to how real the proposed building footprint is, that would at least save them having to come back for a site plan amendment. So just something to think about.
I did not see that email correspondence back and forth. Is this the shrinking of the big building, the principal structure?
Yes.
So if you guys
Potential.
have if you guys have any more information about that before the next meeting, please convey it to us. And you can certainly email us, obviously, to let us know. If it's still something that's just sort of out there, then perhaps it could be subject to an as-built survey or something, or TAD to declare it de minimis. It depends on what the size is, obviously. So if you have any questions in the meantime, just reach us by email. Otherwise, since we won't be seeing you till July 15th, have a happy Memorial Day and a happy July 4th.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice night. The next item on the agenda is a series of resolutions. As I mentioned at our last meeting, Victoria and I had been discussing the fact that the governor had extended deadlines. Initially in the executive order, I thought it meant just state deadlines, meaning the DEC might have longer than 30 days, but it actually also specifically mentioned local timelines as well. So because he's made the series of extensions, we thought it only fair to give the same extensions or the tolling extensions to a variety of applications as they were nearing time in which they had to meet all conditions or would expire. So Victoria laboriously went through and counted up the date of approval for each of the series of applications you have before you, and then extended the tolling time. So this, because let's face it, everybody was kind of in a new world there for a bit before we got to start having meetings like these, et cetera. And even now, since we're mostly all working by remote, there are some things that are hard to get through. Filings of easements, the county clerk is not always open. I know for myself, I'm trying to probate a will, and civil courts aren't open except for existing cases now. So there's been a definite slowdown in your ability to meet things. So we're being proactive with this. We did ask we offered it, we sent information to each applicant and said, you have to request it. It's not just automatically granted across the way. And they all thanked us and made the formal requests. So each of you, most of you will have a resolution to read in a second because there's a series of them. The first will be for ATHANAS East Solar Farm, and I believe this is going to be moved by Ms. DiNapoli.
Yes. Resolution applying tolling period, to the time to satisfy the condition of site plan approval of ATHANAS East Solar Farm, resolution number 2018-12E. Whereas 11 times, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby applies the tolling period to the project and extends the time to satisfy the conditions of the site plan and special use permit approval to and including August 13th, 2020.
Second, Stephanie Wasser.
Thank you. And Ms. Whitman, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
Chairman Dupree?
Yes, the motion carries unanimously. The next item is a tolling extension for Cream Street Solar Farm. Be moved by Ms. Weiser.
Resolution applying tolling period to the time to satisfy the conditions of site plan approval. Cream Street Solar Farm, May 20th, 2020, resolution number 2018-28E. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board, sorry, I thought I heard somebody. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby applies the tolling period to the project and extends the time to satisfy the conditions of site plan and special use permit approval to and including August 13th, 2020.
Second, Chris Oliver.
Ms. Whitman, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
Chairman Dupree?
Yes, and the motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda will be an extension of the tolling period for Dollar General to be located at 1 East Dorsey Lane, moved by Mr. Oliver.
Resolution applying tolling period to time satisfy conditions of approval. Dollar General, 1 East Dorsey Lane, May 20th, 2020. Resolution number 2019-04C. Whereas 7 times, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby applies the tolling period to the project and extends the time to satisfy the conditions of the site plan and the special use permit approval to and including August 13th, 2020.
Seconded, Brent Pickett.
Ms. Whitman, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
Chairman Dupree?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is a tolling period extension for Jeffrey Groves Estates. This is the re-subdivision only, moved by Ms. Wasser.
Resolution applying tolling period to time to satisfy conditions of site plan and final plat approval. Jeffrey Groves Estate, May 20th, 2020, resolution 2018-04J. Whereas 7 times, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby applies the tolling period to the project and extends the time to satisfy the conditions of site plan and final plat approval to and including August 5th, 2020.
Second, Ann Weiser.
Ms. Whitman, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Weiser?
Yes.
Ms. Wasser?
Yes.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Yes.
Chairman Dupree?
Yes. The last item on the agenda is a resolution for Jeffrey Groves Estate. This is for the site plan, which is required because these are townhomes. This will be put into motion by Ms. Dexter.
Resolution to apply tolling deadlines for commencing and completing substantial construction, Jeffrey Groves Estates, Resolution number 68-121, or 12I, sorry. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby applies the tolling period to the time in which the applicant must commence substantial construction and complete substantial construction and extends the time to August 31st, 2020 and August 31st, 2021, respectively. There will be no written or verbal notification from the planning board office to the applicant at such time as the extension expires. Any request for an extension of the deadline set forth herein must be submitted to the planning board at least 30 days in advance of said dates.
Second, and Weiser.
Thank you. Ms. Whitman?
Ms. Weiser,
Yes.
Ms. Wasser,
Yes.
Mr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter,
Yes.
Chairman Dupree.
Yes. Before we adjourn the meeting, I want to thank personally Councilman Neil Krupnick for being our Zoom host, as always, as well as Supervisor Aileen Rohr for making the resources and time available so we can continue these kinds of meetings to advance the public good. I also just want to thank you, my colleagues. I have to say, I miss everybody. I miss seeing your faces in person. I really do. The longer this goes, I know that we've all adjusted to kind of working from home, and there are some benefits, but one of the disadvantages to me is I don't get this chance to see my friends and colleagues once every 2 weeks and have a chance to catch up and feel like I'm part of a really nice community. I know we are, and we're still doing it, but I still miss everybody physically. So I hope you're all well and safe. And
Virtual hugs to all.
Yeah. Virtual hugs accepted. Mr. Pickett, will you make a motion to adjourn, please?
I make a motion to adjourn. Ben Pickett.
Second, Stephanie Wasser.
And Ms. Whitman, please call the roll.
Ms. Weiser,
Yes.
Ms. Wasser,
Yes.
Mr. Pickett,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes.
Ms. DiNapoli,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dexter,
Yes.
and Chairman Dupree.
Yes. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.